And for anybody who's not sure, like, if you don't know the story, Nintendo has been filing patents for just about everything. They've been filing, like, ever since Palworld happened. They tried to file just about everything, and they have gone one more time. Nintendo strikes games again. This has gone too far. A video by Bellular News.
Shocked everyone last week. Nintendo and the Pokemon Company received a US patent on summoning a character and letting it fight another. Okay, think about that based purely on the headline. Nintendo appears to have somehow convinced the US Patent Office that they should own a game mechanic, one that's been in games for decades. Elden Ring uses it, so does Shin Megami Tensei.
Palworld has that one, Digimon as well has that one, right? I mean, hey, even World of Warcraft has that one. We have pet battles. What does this mean? Did they get the patent, or did they just file for the patent?
Final Fantasy, Digimon, even World of Bloody Warcraft.
There we go.
It does look like their legal crusade is continuing, but here's the thing, there's a wrinkle to this patent.
I will say, by the way, and I'm going to piss off every single Pokemon fan, but that's okay, because I love Pokemon as well. I am very, very angry that they have not done more with the Pokemon franchise, and like the IP. We should have had a actual World of Warcraft style MMORPG with Pokemon years ago. But instead they keep just releasing, new gen, new Pokemon game, buy this, buy Nintendo Switch, buy this game. Meanwhile it's the same game with different Pokemon and different names. Sometimes a small graphical update. Why hasn't there been like a Pokemon MMORPG at the scale of World of Warcraft, like World of Pokemon? I think that could take over the world, by the way.
And it's one that might make all the difference to games that are using summoning mechanics, even as, yes, Nintendo is exploiting a broken patent system to try and lock down the industry. Here's how this all went down. It was first noticed by GamesFray, who cover a lot of patent news. Then Windows Central surfaced it to us, and now we're talking about it.
Look, imagine this graphics, by the way, but in an MMORPG world, a huge World of Warcraft world, and slightly better graphics perhaps, and just catching Pokemon. In the open world. A world of Pokemon, if you will. I think personally the most fun I've actually had in the Pokemon space was the 1 year I played Pokemon Go. Because that game literally it was like huge. You went outside, went for a walk. Like, I walked for about 5 hours per day for half a year straight. Just catching Pokemon. I walked to town 3 times per day, which is half an hour each way, to meet a friend and catch Pokemon.
And yes, Nintendo just got 2 more patents in the US. The first one is one that you might recognize if you've been following the Palworld lawsuit. It's the one that's all about using a summoned creature as a riding object. Oh, wink wink nudge nudge. Nintendo...
Wink wink nudge nudge. But also, okay, so Palworld has that same mechanic, by the way. You can catch a pal and use the pal as a riding, like, as a mount, basically. Or a pet, or a mount, or whatever. So Palworld has that mechanic, but I mean, doesn't WoW also have that mechanic? Because number one, you have mounts in WoW, but also, you can technically catch mounts in the open world, and turn those into mounts through the, like the garrison, the stables thing, in the garrison. And you even have a certain world quest that gives you a temporary mount that you basically summon. So you summon a temporary mount. This sounds a little bit weird, man.
Nintendo is already suing Palworld over this one in Japan, and Palworld has basically removed this feature already. Nintendo sadly were able to make their case when the patent...
Yeah, it's like you say, it's the same in Ark, WoW, World of Warcraft, and Final Fantasy. And Palworld.
Office challenged them, and now it's been granted. GamesFray points out that this doesn't change much right now. Here's their overall take in the issue. For Pocket Pair, that patent is not an issue with respect to the current version of Palworld. But obviously, what if they win in Japan? What if they want to bring back the switching of riding objects feature? I hate that we even have to talk about it in those weird patents.
Wait, let me see here, the legal speak. the specific thing is about mounts being able to fly and run as a ground mount interchangeably. So basically, if they wanted to, they could go for Blizzard right now, because they actually ended up getting these patents. No way. Really? And I mean, Blizzard has that, like in retail, a lot of, if not even all the mounts now, they are both ground mounts and flying mounts. That is insane.
Terms. Well, here's the quote on that. Then that patent could cause problems in the all-important US market. And they call this legal pollution of the
Yeah, here we can see as well. But let's assume they win in Japan and want to bring back the switching of a riding object feature, then that patent could cause problems in the all-important US market. So this patent is sort of legal pollution of the market environment. Dude, Nintendo is going the insane legal route of just getting a monopoly of all the games. They're filing patents for everything.
Market environment, which makes a lot of sense. It's the idea that something goes on in Japan and then guess what? The impacts of it float their way over to us. But what about the second patent? Because that is the more alarming one. GamesFrey frames this as, quote, a US patent on summoning a character and letting it fight another. So there's no wonder we've got to talk about that today. It's
That's Palworld right there, that's Digimon right there, it's even World of Warcraft pet battling right there as well. Like, oh my days.
insane when you stop and think about it. Elden Ring or Diablo 2's Necromancer, Persona games, Dragon Quest,
right.
any Digimon, any Pokemon-inspired games like Cassette Beasts or Beastie Ball, even World of Warcraft's Hunter class or its pet battles. This stuff...
Wait, the Hunter class as well, because you're literally summoning a mount as a Hunter class, or the Warlock class. You're summoning, like, as a Warlock, you're literally summoning, and letting those fight for you.
Feels absurd. How can Nintendo have a patent that ignores all of those things that are already out in the market? Well, the details of the patent give us some clues. So, here's the story. This patent started as a Japanese patent in 2022. The US filings came in March 2023. Then last week, 2.5 years later, it was granted. There was no challenge from the patent examiners, and we'll get back to why that matters. So,
there was no challenge? Dude! Okay, this has to be a corrupt system. Like, this just has to be insanely corrupted. There's no way. I refuse to believe this. Like, huh?
What could this actually cover? Fair warning, this is a little dense, but we need to do the specifics here because in a story like this, the specifics actually matter. So here's what it says. An information processing system moves a player character on a field that's based on movement input. This system causes a sub-character to appear on the field. That's from a first operation input. When an enemy character is at the appearance location, the system controls a battle using a first mode. This mode proceeds based on operation input. When there's no enemy at that location, the system starts automatic control and the sub-character moves automatically. The system can move the sub-character with a second operation input. When an enemy is at a designated location, the system controls the battle using a second mode. This mode proceeds automatically. Now, if you've not played Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, that may seem like a bunch of words that mean nothing. No, they are specific, they do mean something, and now we've got to apply this. This appears to be a fairly nuts and bolts description of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's mechanics, and the timeline matches that development process. And it has to be a Pokemon game. Why? Well, the Pokemon Company was also granted this patent. And here's how it works, right? In a game world where a player moves freely, they can summon a Pokemon via a command. The full breakdown even specifies it appearing from one of 6 balls. If there's an enemy at the spot, then a fight will start in the first battle system, which here is Pokemon's turn-based mode with player input. If not, then the Pokemon acts autonomously, and when it encounters an enemy, then it will battle it in the game world. And that is the second battle system, basically automatic battling without player input. And as it plays out in the video game, essentially, it's kind of the mass slaughter of creatures. It really is funny. You send your Pokemon out to attack, and it will just go and kill 30 dudes. Which, you know what? It's kind of fun, actually. Auto-battling. Thumbs up. Anyway, the patent specifically calls this out as 2 battle systems. That's the key here. Basically, it's not a patent that's giving Nintendo ownership of summoning monsters into a battle. It is specifically for the Go Adventure and auto-battling mechanic in the latest Pokemon game. And to be honest with you, I absolutely hate that this has been granted. I'll elaborate in a bit, but for now the good news is that older games are basically safer than we thought here. I mean, look at the examples that people say are under threat. Nintendo would really have to stretch their patent far beyond what's written. If you take, say, Elden Ring, Diablo, and Palworld, you can move freely. You can summon a sub-character with a button press, and they will autonomously engage enemies, but there's no separate player input combat option for that sub-character. Or take a look at Cassette Beast, Persona, SMT, and Warcraft's pet battles. You're not in an open world when the actual summoning happens, and there's only one combat input method. So it's not the generic summoning of pets. Under the specifics of this, Nintendo is arguing that they've gone further, that they've built a new patentable system, one that is allowing for automatic and turn-based battles depending on the context. Now, is there prior art that should have been found? Is there something showing someone already uses these systems in the USA? Well, the good news is, possibly. The patent lawyer Kirk Sigmund raised this question in PC Gamer interviews. Basically, should this combination of existing mechanics be patentable at all? And to him, granting these patents is, and I quote, an embarrassing failure of the US patent system. Personally, I think this is done by people who don't necessarily...
It makes sense though. Like, not the whole patent thing, but that sentence. It is an embarrassment. Because if this is what gaming has come to now, where people are just going to literally file for patents and lock down systems in games, at some point somebody could have a monopoly of every single game mechanic in the world. That to me is kind of crazy. I just don't like it. They've filed for too many patents recently, and I don't think anybody likes that they're doing this, right?
Really understand the nuances of game development. I think this is absolutely...
I'm gonna patent water and flower, watch me. I'm gonna patent gold making. Hell yeah, dude.
Goddamn ridiculous. And it's a system that clearly doesn't work. Reading the interview, Kirk Sigmund finds the entire situation to be deeply strange. There was no challenge from the patent office on any aspect of this. There was no reference to prior art, just some existing US and Japanese patents, plus one article from Pokemon.com. But it's actually worse than that. Structurally, it seems Nintendo got waved through after waiting for 2.5 years, and that not much examination even happened. And with the US Patent Office's state, well, it's no surprise there. They would need to go through thousands of games, not patents. Thousands of games. That's a hell of a lot. They would have to prove that these mechanics already existed by examining all of those games, or prove the developers could arrive at these mechanics naturally. Which, they absolutely goddamn obviously could. But I suppose that level of thinking never really happened over at the patent office, did it? And even if they wanted to reference games, well, game preservation is not in a great shape anyway for that kind of research. By the way, this kind of research is one of the reasons why game preservation is actually important. So, the US Patent Office can't really do this, and reports suggest a massive problem. You see, even before recent budget cuts, there was a backlog. And we're talking a backlog of 1.2 million applications to review. Those
1.2 million applications for patents? I really hope they're not all game patents, man. No.
Those cuts prevented hiring 600 more patent examiners.
I really hate, by the way, how gaming has gone to this, like where it's all about the legality now and just locking down patents. I don't like it. Like, what happened to gamers making games for gamers and just trying to have fun and trying to make a good game? Like, what happened? The last 20 years has been so trash.
Which will mean that either less patents will get examined or, well, patents will just be examined less thoroughly. The problems go far beyond Nintendo here. What does a system under pressure do? Well, what it tends to do is it shifts the burden of proof. So instead of denying bad patents preemptively, it grants them, and then someone else will have to challenge them. That is going to take time, that will require money, and it will require legal knowledge. Knowledge and money needed to take on goddamn Nintendo, whose lawyers are some of the most legendary in the business.
Yeah.
So you would have to prove that they shouldn't have had this patent. That's going to be hard. And I think most importantly what this has is an intimidation effect. Because Nintendo has this patent now. No one else can be inspired by Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's dual combat system. You can't replicate it without a Nintendo license. If you want to iterate on the idea, to be inspired by it, to do something different and new, well, you better be ready to defend your work, especially if you end up being successful. And that's what this is really about. Even if Nintendo isn't controlling all summoning in all video games, what they are doing is they're getting more control. This is a story of entrenched power, and ultimately, this is par for the course. Nintendo and other Japanese companies do this regularly, and we've talked about it with Capcom, Sega, Konami, and Koei Tecmo before on this channel. They've all described how they view patent acquisition as basically protecting their innovation investments, right? Protecting their big, chunky R&D. And when all's going right, yeah, that's what patent systems should actually do.
All Western patent offices, USA included, should just blanket refuse any pending patent for a digital game mechanic, no matter what. I feel the same way. Like, it's so stupid to me to be able to lock down a mechanic like that. Sure, they might be really proud of their work, but like locking down the mechanic itself and not even allowing anyone to be inspired by and recreating it in a different way, they're literally locking down the patent. And if every game did this, by the way, at some point you would be out of things you could do. The approach they're taking, like, I'm just gonna say it, Nintendo is killing games and killing gaming. By themselves. They have been for a while. It's a trash company, and I'm sad to say that I like Pokemon at this point. I've been a huge Pokemon fanboy ever since I was like 5 years old, and I still am. But I really wish I wasn't. It's sad to see.
And that's an important thing. But what this will also do is, well, leave them with the option to, well, get people to license, or of course, to sue. But,
Yeah.
you know, from outside those companies, what does it look like? Well, it looks like they're building a moat around game mechanics. They are keeping those mechanics just for themselves. They've done it in Japan for a long, long time, and now they are doing it in America. This, everyone, is bad goddamn news.
Yep.
I actually think that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are, by and large, slightly underrated, even though they do absolutely drive me up the wall with so many things, so many elements. But this whole dual combat system thing actually does work pretty goddamn well. And if a dev was to wholesale copy it, yes, I would say that's lazy, that sucks, and maybe Nintendo would be right enough to have a case. But my concern is that legitimate innovation, legitimate inspiration, that is under threat. Because Nintendo doesn't even have to win in court. They don't even have to prove something in court. All they need to do is have the patent and have you know that they have the patent. And that could be enough for you to choose one game idea over another game idea. And for Nintendo, that's a victory. And on the topic of victories, staff are trying to get a few of them against Microsoft. Overall, though, the fight's not really going good. And if you want to learn more about that, watch this video next.
Alright, good video by Bellular, by the way. I don't like what Nintendo is doing, and I think it's bad. Once again, bad for gaming as a whole, and bad for the industry. I don't like the whole legal approach of trying to lock down patents, instead of just maybe locking down the code. I don't know, protect your IP, sure. But locking down patents? Dude,